What's going on? What's going on? It's your man Diamond K in here. Of course, RadioFire.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. So much to get into. This is a big news day. Big news day with regards to so many things. Of course, folks on the East getting a little bit of snow, their first touch of snow. So negotiators nearly have reached an agreement on the COVID-19 economic aid bill. And this should have been done. But as of today, they're very close on a $900 billion COVID-19 relief package that would deliver additional paycheck protection to businesses, $300 per week in jobless checks, and $600 or so in stimulus payments to most Americans. Of course, Americans need a lot more money than that. But this is a long-delayed measure coming together, hopefully, as Congress finally, get some of the compromises in place. And, it's at the expense of the American people that this has been taking so long. The second major relief package of the pandemic, which has been going on since early spring. It's the first significant legislative response to the pandemic since the CARES Act, which happened, I need to remind people, back in March. Delivered $1.8 trillion in aid and definitely more generous jobless benefits and direct payments to Americans. So since then, Democrats have repeatedly called for an ambitious step by the federal government to step in and give aid to people that are battling this pandemic. Republicans, on the other hand, have really sought to just reopen the economy and avoid the government's, $27 trillion debt and avoid adding on to it. That's what they've tried to do when it comes to the American people. Now, if they need money for the military, of course, they have no problem adding to the debt. No problem at all. So President-elect Joe Biden is eager for an economic package to help the economy. And the economy is in bad shape. Americans need that direct aid. Jobless folks need aid. Hungry, and even though it definitely falls short of what is needed, Joe Biden called the potential emerging package an important down payment and promised more for Americans next year. For their part, Republicans seem to be anxious to get some aid going. Because here's the thing, Christmas is here. These Congress members are going to go home for the holidays. They're good. They're in good shape. Many of their constituents, not so much. It looks crazy that they're about to go home and nothing's been done. Since March, these folks that are elected in Congress are sitting pretty. Best health care. They got money. All these things, right? The average American needs help right now. So we send these folks into Congress. And since March, y'all haven't been able to come together for nothing. But they claim Mitch McConnell, this guy of Kentucky, told reporters this morning that they have made major headway toward hammering out a bipartisan relief package. I've heard this before, so we're going to talk about it. We're going to report it, but we've been here. I just feel like we've been here before, and nothing has come of it. So we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see, but it is necessary. Now, how much of this is he trying to get through to actually help Republicans in this Georgia Senate race runoff? Because Republicans are fractured right now. Democrats, as it relates to this Senate race, need this. And whichever way it goes, this is a razor thin margin that we're talking about. Razor thin. Whoever wins this Georgia Senate runoff is going to have, if it's the Democrats, are going to have a very thin majority. In some instances, depending on what the actual legislation is, they may not even have the majority, but it just depends. So I'm looking at this talk of negotiations on this COVID bill, very skeptical. We do have this runoff going. Democrats have momentum. Republicans look like crybabies. Conservative tears because of Donald Trump's loss. So anyway, I'm looking at this with very, very skeptical eyes. So details are still being worked out. Lawmakers on both parties, Republicans and Democrats, said that leaders had agreed on some top line total of about $90 billion. With direct payments, perhaps $600. That's half of what they gave Republicans in March, and they need it even more now. But anyway, perhaps $600 to most Americans, and $300 per week bonus federal unemployment benefit to partially replace the $600 per week benefit that expired over the summer. I find it so disturbing the way Republicans want to hold the American people's money like it's their money. It's not your money. But they act like it is. So direct payments, $300 per week in bonus, what they call bonus unemployment benefits. Okay, also includes the renewal of extra weeks of state unemployment benefits for long-term jobless. More than $300 billion in, relief for businesses, including a second round of paycheck protection payments to especially hit hard businesses. We're going to talk more about the PPP, paycheck protection. We're going to talk more about that. So Democrats acknowledged that the removal of a $160 billion or so aid package for state and local governments whose budgets have been thrown out of balance by the pandemic was a bitter loss. People need to remember this. The Republicans are not our friends. They're only the friends of big business. We're going to talk more about big business and PPP loans in a minute. So this emerging package, this potential COVID-19 economic aid package that may be coming, is not what Americans need. Is by no means the amount of money. First, they were getting $1,200, which they should have gotten more. That was $1,200 that Americans got in March. Now they're talking about cutting it down to $600. So negotiations came close yesterday. very close, and today they're on the verge. The additional $600 came as a recent endorsement from both Trump and Bernie Sanders, who are all dissatisfied. Everybody's upset about the package, supposedly. American people are not getting the money that they deserve. These people in Congress, these politicians, they claim that they're upset. But they're not upset because Americans are not getting the money that they deserve. They're upset because their own little benefits to their donors are not included in the package. That's why they're mad. Bernie Sanders said today that everything that is in the package is vitally needed. The problem is that it is a much smaller package than the country needs right now. At this moment of economic desperation, many businesses closed, right? Many businesses closed. Many people out of work. Nancy Pelosi has insisted for months that state and local aid would be in any final bill. But as time is running out, she's unwilling to hold the rest of the package hostage over this demand. So it is not guaranteed that Americans are going to get this money. It's not guaranteed. They'd like to see it happen, but big corporations seem to be the only people that really and truly are important to Congress. For the most part, Congress is getting ready to close up shop. They are getting ready to go on their vacation. So how much does your congressperson really care about you? People in your community? How much? We're going to see. We're going to see how much they really care. Just tune in as the Don McKay Show here on RadioOnFire.com, at the Don McKay Show, at Radio On. So, feds seize millions in PPP funds from an international ministry. Very disturbing here. So the Secret Service has seized more than $7.5 million from accounts at Bank of America and another $868,000 from First American Trust from Aslan International Ministry. So what is this all about? A so-called international ministry based in Florida didn't appear to do anything religious and was able to fraudulently obtain millions of dollars from the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program. So you have all these businesses, all these small businesses that are in trouble. And then you have these shysters stealing from the American people. So Secret Service seized $7.5 million and $868,000. So you go to Orlando, Florida. The address listed for the group. No one answered the door. It was locked. The group's website had been taken down. The website contained generic business information believed to have been taken from other websites and generalized or generated as their own. You talk about fraud. This is some real fraud. So the links on the website that allowed for a user to give a donation or to seek employment was inactive. The complaint asks a judge to sign off on the seizure of the money. It is very disturbing. So these funds are proceeds from bank fraud offenses. And we talk about this PPP. It's so hard for businesses to get money, and then when you have this kind of stuff, it's so irritating. It's maddening. So this case here in Florida is the latest in a string of law enforcement cracking down on the massive fraud in the PPP program. So far, it's led to more than 80 arrests connected to at least $240 million in fraud. The Secret Service alone has some 700 pending PPP-related investigations. No arrests have been made with this latest case. Investigation is pending. The court is filing details how easy it is for folks to obtain a PPP loan. Come on now. Be mindful, people. The probe focuses on the family that appears to run this organization. It's going down. It's going down. Believe that. So the application filed in 2018 for Aslan International to conduct business in Florida listed one man as the chairman and president, his son as the vice president and director, and his daughter as the secretary and director. According to the complaint, Aslan International was told by First Home Bank that it was eligible for $8.4 million in PPP money. Its application, in which claimed to have 486 employees and nonprofit status, said that the money would be used for payroll, rent, mortgage, and utility payments. The IRS showed that it reported $51.8 million in revenue in 2019. So the loan was approved. The money was wired through two Wells Fargo accounts that listed the son and the father as the signatories. The funds were then transferred through three Bank of America accounts that listed the daughter as the sole signatory. So Secret Service discovered that $868,250 of money was sent through the Royal Bank of Canada account in the name of another woman with the same last name as the three family members, and then to a First American Trust Bank account that held the name of the First American Title Insurance Company. I mean, they had all kind of scams going on. So then the money was used as a deposit on a $3.7 million home in Orlando in the name of the second woman in the complaint. Can you believe this? Can you believe this? In September, officers from the Florida Highway Patrol stopped a vehicle for speeding on I-75, and 4 family members were in the car, according to this complaint. Authorities said that in the car they found external hard drives, a document shredder, multiple credit and gift cards, laptops, as well as a handwritten note that the Department of Homeland Security had frozen their bank accounts. So among the seized items were a government research manual called Tracing Money Flows Through Financial Institutions. This is fraud personified. This is fraud personified. So hopefully this crime syndicate will get exactly what they deserve. It's crazy. Just tuning in to the Don McKay Show here on Radio on Fire. RadioOnFire.com, TheDonMcKayShow.com. Christmas night, Jingle Jam, 6 p.m., Radio on Fire, YouTube.com/Radio on Fire, Facebook, facebook.com/radioonfire or just radioonfire.com. So we're having a voters rally for this Georgia Senate runoff and a virtual concert Christmas night. I definitely hope that you can join us. Do this, take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of the show after this. Welcome back, Human Diamond K in here. So we were talking about PPP support for businesses. So more than half of the PPP support for small businesses actually went to large companies. More than half of the money from the Treasury Department's Coronavirus Emergency Fund for small businesses went to just 5% of the recipients, according to data. More than 5 million loans released by the government. I mean, this is very disturbing. So a Freedom of Information Act request and a lawsuit is how we've been able to find out this information. This is some stuff that the government did not want us to know. So according to data on the government's Paycheck Protection Program, about 600 mostly larger companies, including some national chains, dozens of national chains, received the maximum amount allowed under the program of $10 million. But we still have businesses, small businesses, struggling. Still have small businesses struggling. Something in the system is not right. Something in this system is not right. So officials from the Treasury Department and the SBA, the Small Business Administration, have argued that the program primarily benefited smaller businesses because of the vast majority of loans. More than 87% were for less than $150,000. That's what they said. But this new data shows that more than half of the $522 billion in the same time frame had gone to bigger businesses who did not need it. And only 28% of that money was distributed in the amounts of under $150,000. The corruption that needs to be addressed is not being addressed. This is very disturbing information, and many people knew this. Many people did not. We didn't have all of the details, but these things are starting to come to light. These things are thankfully starting to come to light. Yeah, we're definitely going to keep you posted on that. Definitely going to keep you posted to that. SBA calculated that loan amounts were based on monthly payroll figures and capped loans at a maximum of $10 million. Businesses with up to 500 employees were eligible, though that limit was relaxed for restaurants and hotel companies. So previous disclosures were incomplete. The PPP loan data showed that the program was falling short of the Trump administration's claims of success, falling way short. So an analysis done by the Washington Post of 4.9 million in loans initially released by the Small Business Association contained numerous errors. They're trying to withhold information because this looks crazy. It looks crazy that during this pandemic, most of the money for small businesses went to national chains and large businesses. The mom and pop stores were having trouble getting relief from the government, and businesses that didn't need it were getting it. So this information is coming out, and I'm glad to see that the information is coming to light. Many companies were reported to have retained far more workers than they employed, trying to be slick. Likewise, in some cases, the agency jobs claimed for entire industries surpassed the total number of workers in those sectors. These businesses have to be held accountable. These are these large businesses doing this. For more than 875,000 borrowers, the data showed that 0 jobs were supported or no information is listed at all. And then they're trying to give the American people $600? These are the types of things that we have to focus on. When they talk about fraud, this is fraudulent. You or me couldn't do something like this and get away with it. But these big businesses are able to do that. And Congress has just given a blanket approval and allowed officials and families to receive PPP funds without the required conflict of interest review. What am I saying? I'm saying that Congress was giving the okay to their family members who had businesses without putting them through the same type of process that you or me would have to go through. No conflict of interest, nothing. Isn't this the kind of stuff that mayors in Baltimore have trouble with? People throw mayors in Baltimore under the bus for this kind of stuff. But congressmen and women, they do it with no problem. Nobody says nothing. So the Post filed a Freedom of Information Act request, FOIA request, for a complete record about the lending program back in the springtime, April 24th to be exact. And after the SBA failed to respond in the time required by law, the Post and 10 other national news organizations sued for the release of the records on the PPP and a separate smaller loan program, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, which is also called the EIDL. So in response to that lawsuit, the SBA posted loan level data for 660,000 businesses and nonprofit organizations that received at least $150,000 in funding. So despite a disclaimer on the loan application stating that the names of the borrowers and the amounts of the loans would be automatically released in response to the FOIA request, the agency argued to the court that it should not have to provide exact loan amounts for any of the loans, as well as the borrower information for loans under $150,000, which is 87% of all PPP loans. I mean, you see the type of games that they're trying to play. You see the type of games that they are trying to play. So this is an ongoing story here. And the way that this PPP debacle has been handled. So later, SBA sent letters to dozens of Planned Parenthood nonprofits, which offer obviously a range of healthcare services. That's one of the things. Loan recipients included independent contractors like Uber drivers, franchisees of international brands, healthcare workers, nonprofits, churches, schools, Wall Street investment firms, and others. The Trump administration removed a restriction on businesses that profit from gambling after the gaming industry argued that they should be eligible. Strip clubs and payday lenders argued that their businesses had been hurt by the virus as well, and many of them ended up getting loans as well. So here's where we are with this. This is a disaster. This is a disaster. Just tune in as you may. Diamond K, RadioOnFire.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. Many Republicans just realizing or just accepting that Joe Biden is the president-elect. So Joe Biden is calling Pete Buttigieg, his transportation nominee, the new voice. So he introduced his former rival, the Democratic primary, Pete Buttigieg, as his nominee for transportation secretary today, officially, saying that the 38-year-old can be a new voice in the fight against economic inequality, institutional racism, and climate change. I think that this is a good pick. Of course, you know that Buttigieg is the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and he would be the first openly gay person confirmed by the Senate to a cabinet position. So this is a milestone, and ultimately, I have not had any major issues with Biden's selections. There have been some selections that have been, kind of suspect, but for the most part, I mean, you're not going to like everything that everybody does. Not going to like everything that everybody does, but Joe Biden did talk about Pete Buttigieg, and Buttigieg gave some comments as well.
Nominees to our cabinet. There are people of the highest character, varied experiences and backgrounds, going to help us beat this pandemic, keep us safe and secure, and build our economy back better than it ever was. They include longtime colleagues and new faces and new voices. They include people who share my views and those who have different views. They include people who supported my campaign.
Yeah, so, for the most part, the president-elect has been, he's been playing it cool, doing what he needs to do, understanding that Trump is not making things easy for him. He's setting off landmines, talking about Trump setting off landmines in the White House because he's upset that he's on his way out. Biden said that Buttigieg offers a new voice with new ideas, determined to move past old politics. We need someone who knows how to speak and work with state, local, and federal agencies. Biden noted that highways are in disrepair and that some bridges are on the verge of collapse. This is all true. Beyond the standard transportation fixes, which are easier to promise now for administration to get through Congress, Biden wants to rejuvenate the post-coronavirus pandemic economy. He wants to get things flowing and create thousands of green jobs and make environmentally friendly and public work improvements. These are things that we desperately need. On the other side of this pandemic, there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do. At its best, transportation makes the American dream possible. Getting people and goods where they need to be directly and indirectly, creating good-paying jobs, Buttigieg said. At its worst, misguided policies and missed opportunities can reinforce racial, economic, and environmental injustice, dividing or isolating neighborhoods, undermining government's basic role to empower everyone to thrive. Well, he's talking a good game. Buttigieg also mentioned his affinity for trains while acknowledging that he would be only the second biggest Amtrak enthusiast in the administration. Of course, talking about President-elect Joe Biden, who rode the train for years between D.C. and Delaware while serving in the Senate. Buttigieg also mentioned that he proposed to his husband at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. That was random. Buttigieg, of course, was the only cabinet choice after Biden's defense secretary nominee, retired Army General Lloyd Austin, to appear at a solo announcement ceremony rather than be introduced with other picks. So you feel strongly about this one. They rolled the carpet out for Buttigieg, and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris joined via video conference from D.C. because of the snowstorm. So I am excited about the potential of the Biden administration. And when the transition takes hold and Biden is sworn in, I plan to hold the Biden administration accountable for their actions, just like I would anybody else. And I hope that you do the same thing. Of course, I am here mornings and evenings, radioonfire.com, and check us out on demand. If you miss any episodes of the program on youtube.com/DJ Diamond K or youtube.com/radioonfire. Also on all social media, follow Radio on Fire and The Diamond K Show. As I said, Christmas night, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, the Jingle Jam, our Christmas presentation, virtual concert, and a voters rally for this Georgia Senate runoff race goes down. So make sure you watch us. I definitely hope that you can join us. I will be back tomorrow. From everyone here at Radio on Fire, happy holidays, and I will see you guys tomorrow.